All right, everyone, welcome back into another NBA DFS video. Got a big Wednesday slate for you guys. Just as an FYI, they are still taking off the late night game, which I'm actually upset about because Austin Reeves would have been one of my favorite plays. With Russell being ruled out, maybe they're saving us here. But what are your kind of initial thoughts on this main slate that we have today?
Well, I wasn't sure how I felt about them taking 2 games off because it's still a 10-game slate, even without those last 2 games. But it's exactly what I said before. I can't play my Lakers every day anymore.
Dude, you're right. I didn't even think about that. I mentioned being Midwest. I do probably lose some sort of late night advantage with Laker games and etc. Denver games, but that's part of the nature of the beast. But yeah, that really sucks for Denver Laker fans who that's where a majority of their games are at.
Lakers, Clippers, Portland, Kings, all those teams, Suns. We're not going to get those guys on the main slate half the time anymore. So it's kind of unfortunate, but today's slate is way better than yesterday's slate. Yesterday's slate we talked about in the stream was very difficult. I didn't do very well yesterday, but we do have some spots today, I think.
Yeah, I mean, ownership wise, it's kind of surprising how much ownership missing me. It's kind of surprising just how much ownership is going to some of the early projected value-ish. I mean, they're okay plays. Mitchell, Jalen Johnson, OG pulling in a lot of ownership. Biyombo pulling in a lot of ownership. I'm actually pretty shocked by a lot of the ownership trends that we have right now. Value-wise, though, I think there is a lot of value on this slate as well that might not be as high owned. Brook Lopez, again tonight, where he was a good play against Indy last game. It's definitely an interesting slate.
Well, the disappointing. So last slate, I was talking about Jalen Johnson was such a good low-owned value play. Model had him near the top, and then today he's the super chalk, and I think we still want to go to him today. He's good chalk that I'm okay with getting to. But looking at the ownership, Donovan Mitchell coming in this high, I get it. They're playing Washington, but it's a 10-game slate, and there's so many studs. I'm going to be playing Donovan Mitchell, but I don't think he deserves the 33% he's coming in at on DraftKings.
Yeah, and for Jalen Johnson, I do think he's still a good play today, but less of a good play with Inyika back. So it does feel like people are chasing that a little bit. They missed out and now they're chasing it.
Exactly. And we've seen it. I don't think it's been better than it has in the previous seasons. I feel like in the last couple seasons, if someone has a good game, people just chase it. But I don't see it as much this season.
I think that's just because DraftKings and FanDuel, they're price enforcing a lot more this year and correctly as well.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, some of the other chalk that we're seeing, OG, I'm a little bit surprised by that. I guess it's just the mispricing of 5.6. I kind of look at it, if we were getting RJ Barrett at that price tag, we would probably play him. He's projected to get 35 minutes, so a pretty good play there. Another kind of mispricing on DraftKings is Jared Allen, who could really crush against Washington, projected to get 34 minutes. Even if that game's a blowout, he could still get 30 minutes and really go for 45 plus, and at that price tag, that's good. Another one, Bismack Biyombo. Again, just a pricing thing. We are seeing some very big pricing discrepancies. Are you playing on both sides tonight? Because it's going to be difficult, I think, to just break down each, Jalen Duren. It's kind of crazy looking at the pricing differences.
I'm only playing on DraftKings tonight. I've been holding off on FanDuel. I typically only play when they have awesome satellites that are overlaying, and then I'll just make some quick satellite lineups. But I've been focusing on DraftKings, and I've been doing better than when I was trying to play both. So I'm just gonna stick to one side for now.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But yeah, it's. I just can't believe how. I honestly think DraftKings pricer is under the gun tonight. That's some bad pricing on their part today.
Yeah, FanDuel's been way quicker to adjust this season, and I thought DraftKings was too for a bit, but no, they're not. And just looking at the sorting by ownership, there's a couple guys that stand out as poor chalk just based on their value is low, like Sam Merrill. I know he's 3,400, but his value score isn't that high for being as cheap as he is, and kind of similar as Santi Aldama. I get it, he's very cheap. He's cheaper than we've seen him in a while, but no one's out for the Grizzlies, and so this is probably his appropriate price. And so I don't think that these two players deserve to be chalk. They'll probably still end up in my exposures, but and same Alec Burks, Tristan Thompson. I think we can find better plays.
They're all fascinating because those are all plays that I use this term a decent amount, but shoulder shrug plays where if you end up on them, you are happy with it, you're closing out your build, but none of them are like go out of your way to roster them type plays. And I get like value wise, we got a question here about if you're only playing one lineup, are you getting to Giannis? I get people are probably trying to hammer Giannis into their builds tonight. Best OF index ranked play today, but he's only 4% on both sites, so maybe not. Like that's what's weird to me. It's that when I saw those ownerships originally, that's what I was thinking is that people are going to try to go value town and then pay up. But maybe it seems like they're going to Luka instead, which is weird. Yeah, that's actually weird. Now I'm looking at it.
Yeah, just it seems like I guess there's more value at like the forward positions, but like I just said, I don't really like these values. And so I'm surprised that Giannis is coming in so low owned all season. We've been talking about we want to target players against Indiana, and especially with like the narrative around Giannis and the game ball and how well he's crushed Indiana this season.
Oh, yeah.
But his OF index is so much higher than Luka, and so just going by the model, I think it's a really good play to play more Giannis than Luka tonight.
Yeah, and I don't get that. Like, I was actually pretty shocked on the last slate how like low owned Giannis was. I was like, he should be like 70%. I don't get this, and he was like 35, I think. It's pretty high owned still, but I do worry tonight that he's not going to go off as much. Just because it's another game removed from that narrative, I guess, if you will. But they did lose that game, so he's probably more or just as pissed off and wants to play well again.
Well, regardless of the narrative, we have a 258.5 total and a 3-point spread, and we're getting a 4% top 3 player in the NBA, best player in the game. Like, I think him and Halliburton too, 14% and 3%. Yeah. He's pretty cheap. If you can find a way to game stack both of them, it seems pretty strong. And then did Chris Middleton's?
He just got confirmed in. Yeah.
Okay. And so his ownership
helps him.
Yeah, no, I think it's good for Giannis. And his ownership fell off. I mean, his price went up a little bit, but I think he kind of burned everyone the last time out. So I don't mind taking some shots on Middleton, even though his price is, I'm not as excited as I was last time, but 5%, he's still got to be a good play.
Yeah, I don't mind him as a play either. It's just he didn't get as many rebounds as he was projected to get by Vegas and assists. No, he did get the assist, but yeah, not as many rebounds as Vegas thought he would get. And, a little bit too many turnovers is really the biggest thing there. Got into a little bit of foul trouble, but not really. He didn't hurt you, but you give him, honestly, you take away 2 turnovers, maybe add in a couple more rebounds, a couple more assists, and he's right at what you would want. It's not like too crazy to see. And against Indy, we can kind of expect that, I think. But at the same time, in 2 previous games against Indy, he's only put up 37 and 38 DraftKings points, so maybe a little bit too thin.
Yeah. And then the other guy, so I think this is the most important game on the slate. And to me, I'm shocked that the only player pulling more double-digit ownership is Tyrese Halliburton. So I want to focus on this game a little bit more, but I think we can get to a lot of pieces. I know a lot of the players are priced correctly, especially over on FanDuel. They're probably a little bit too expensive, but I think just getting to a little bit more of, I don't know specifically who, we already mentioned, Chris Middleton, Damian Lillard is a stud, but I'd still prefer to just pay up for Giannis. Not sure I'm getting to Miles Turner. Brook Lopez is apparently the best player in the model every day. I don't know why that is, but we can get to pieces from this game, and that's already enough to get different if we're playing the rest of the chalk.
Can you hear me on the slide now or no?
Yeah.
Oh, you can. Okay. Yeah, with Brook Lopez, it's actually kind of crazy just how frequently he's been hitting value though as well. Like he's coming in low owned, popping up on the data sheet a bunch, and he's hitting value, and it's really shocking. But if he's going to get 35 minutes tonight, it's very interesting. Now I know he's a little bit higher price, but still low owned upside play.
On DraftKings 6K, I mean, I talk about every day the low-owned guys near the top of the value model, and Brook Lopez stays satisfying both of those conditions, especially on the larger slates. And so just play him a little bit more than the field, and I think that's a good move.
We have a couple of interesting questions here, I would say. Balanced build tonight or stars and scrubs? I actually think that's pretty darn fascinating.
Just looking at my lineups, it looks like I'm a little bit... No, I'm actually pretty balanced tonight. My top lineup does not have Giannis, and Donovan Mitchell's 9.5K, and then everyone else is like Jared Allen 7.8K, and then everyone else is 6K or cheaper. Cheapest guy is Alec Burks at 4.3. That's going to change. I'm not loving that right now, but
yeah. Yeah, I'm going. It's not like it's both. Honestly, it's not like complete stars and scrubs, but it's not complete balanced.
Yeah, I mean, the Sam Merrill chalk, that tells me the field is probably going to be going more stars and scrubs. But I don't think that there's a clear answer tonight. Both look
Yeah,
like, just scrolling through my lineups, and I still have to make adjustments, but both
yeah.
builds look viable tonight. I mean, it's a 10-game slate. We have everyone playing.
And then this other question is pretty awesome as well. I think are multipliers good contests to enter? Man, that really just depends on the user. I think, to be honest with you, it's really just what are you prepared to play and risk each night, and what are you trying to accomplish? Pretty much, those questions, contest questions, are very much individual based each time, pretty much.
Yeah, for me, just my style, multipliers are not good contest to enter for me because I typically go for the win. Although, like, I finish in top 20% a lot, so I probably should explore multipliers a little bit more. But I just really want to play low on guys and fade chalk, and so for me, multipliers are not a good thing.
Yeah, I just tell people to stick to like one thing for a little bit, test it out for let's say a month. Maybe an NBA doesn't have to be that long because it's every single day. Maybe try like 10 days, 14 days, give it a try. And if it doesn't work out, you can kind of see what works for you, where you're good at like lineup process and whatnot. Should you be getting onto more chalk plays and whatnot? And just based off of that single contest, you'll be able to kind of figure out how to game that contest a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's see here. Yeah, we'll get into this last question here, and then we'll be jumping into the guard plays. So it's thoughts on Toronto. And personally, I think Joachim Pertl is going to be a good play again tonight. He was someone that I really liked on the previous slate. We haven't projected at 28 minutes. That could potentially be lower, or sorry, too low. The last few games, he's averaged 36 minutes. Now it's going to be one more game with those Nets players or Knicks players being back or healthy and active, whatever, Quickly and Barrett. But he's at 6.1 and 6.9. Like if he gets 30 plus minutes in this game, I think he's going to be a good play. Siakam feels a little bit too cheap. He's someone, again, looking at the pricing discount, I would have thought he'd be getting a little bit more love.
Yeah, Jakob Pertl. We talked about this last time. So even before Precious Achua got traded, his last game in Toronto, he played 2 minutes, and I think Chris Boucher only played 6 minutes that game. And then Pertl played what, like 30, 37? Was that right? 35? And
He's
then
played 37, 35.
yeah, so it's like, I mean, I think he should be projected for a couple minutes more. It's tough to project him for more than like 31, 32, I guess, just because stuff happens. But just that this coach is like, he's shown a willingness to play Pirtle more, and they don't have another backup center. They have Boucher, who they're still not willing to play. And so Pirtle, I mean, 60, we talk about Brook Lopez's awesome play at 6K. Pirtle's basically the same price, 12% and 8%. Pirtle right now is the player I'm most over the field on DraftKings.
Yeah. And then I do want to get your thoughts just while we're here on Siakam, because he has kind of been, to your point, a little bit of, I don't want to say backup center, but getting some of that run and replace Precious a little bit. And it just seems like they're content with running Siakam out for 38 plus minutes. Maybe they're trying to showcase him to get him traded. I don't know. But he's been on quite a safe run lately. And it's not a matchup that I'm too worried about against Memphis.
I mean, 40 minutes a game for Siakam. We have projected for 36. Yes, I mean, at 3% and 1% ownership, I know the FanDuel price is a little uncomfortable, but DraftKings 8,200. I think we want to play more Siakam than the 3% that the field is getting to. And then with Quickly, his price came up a bit. He's 1% owned, and so obviously he's not the super chalk today. I'm not sure how I feel about getting to him yet. I still haven't decided.
Yeah. I'll just handle this question real quick, and then we'll get into the guard plays. So top FanDuel plays right now, I'll just go by value. Jalen Johnson and then Bogdanovich for Detroit, just by value right now. We'll be touching on that throughout the video, though. So let's go and jump into the guards. We also have a question there regarding the guards. Is it a guard-heavy day? Halliburton and Mitchell. That we can start with that question there, Chris. I think it's warranted. I personally don't know if I'm going to be as high on Donovan Mitchell as the rest of the field. I probably want to get to Halliburton more.
Same. Yeah. I mean, like I said, if the third of the field is really going to play Donovan Mitchell, there's like 14 studs on this slate. Still have Donovan Mitchell in your exposures if you're making a bunch of lineups, but yeah, mix it up. And then it does look like I'm playing a lot of the pay up guards today. It just there's so many good ones on this slate. So
Yeah, are you going to be overweight on like Young at all or SGA then or Ja, I guess, as well? Or kind of how's that working out for you then?
I'm typically always overweight on SGA. I don't have Trae Young in my exposures yet. And then
Okay.
I do have a bunch of Giannis. I have a lot of Halliburton. But I am paying down at center, kind of, I guess. That 6K range with Pirtle and Brooke Lopez are my two highest exposed centers right now. So it does give me a little bit of flexibility.
Yeah. And just sorting it by OF index, Mitchell is really the standout like price and discrepancy. I guess that's why he's shocked. But then you have Ja Morant, similar-ish at about the same price tag, but then it's more kind of balanced. Kyrie against Portland, I will say, is very interesting at 4% owned, 8.3. He shot the ball terribly last game, projected to get 34 minutes. Like, I could see him going off. Middleton, again, we kind of mentioned fine GPP play still. DeJounte Murray's price continues to fall. Cade Cunningham had a bad game, 11% owned tonight against Utah. He's someone I think I could get to. And then Simons as well. If he's going to be active, I wouldn't be surprised to see him play 40 minutes. He's someone I could get to as well in terms of like the pay up type plays.
Yeah. And like sorted by OF index, it's Giannis. And then 7 point guards in a row, 8 point guards in a row, Julius, another point guard, and then Jalen. Why is Anthony Edwards listed at point guard on DraftKings? It's kind of odd.
I know. And then we kind of sorted by value as well. We're not. Are you touching Josh Giddey?
I am, yeah.
Well, okay.
I would reword that, but
you're right.
but
we can't use that with Giddey.
Yeah, like I've seen people talking about his minutes have been reduced, but his price is also reduced. And we saw the last two games, he's still a good basketball player. And against Atlanta, it's a high paced game. Those fewer minutes are even more valuable than they are against other teams. I mean, he's projected for 26. I think did he play more than 26 minutes yesterday?
I mean, 27 the last two games. Yeah.
So same thing, but I mean, the ownership 15%. I wish it was a little bit lower, but the 5,900. I'm not going crazy on him, but I am going to have some of him in my exposures. I'm still interested. Yeah.
And the interesting thing was that those last two games where it kind of went off, those were more difficult matchups than the one tonight. So a little bit more of a pace up spot as well.
Yeah, I don't know what's been up with him. I know he's had the off the court stuff going on, but he has been terrible this season. Like last season, he had a 50-point ceiling almost every night in 31 minutes, and he's only playing a few less minutes. And so, yeah, I guess I'll keep chasing that fantasy score until he fails me, I guess.
I do wonder if he would have been traded already if it wasn't for the off the field stuff, because apparently the Thunder have known for like over a year about that.
Right, yeah.
So it's kind of weird there. And I'm assuming the rest of the NBA also then kind of knew as well, but interesting there. So yeah, this is actually, I was going to kind of jump into this, Ken. So Ken's wondering who benefits the most with Easton out. So it's supposed to be Jalen Green, apparently. I was kind of looking prop wise, and his points, rebounds, and assists went up by like 3, which that's not huge, but it is enough. But the pricing is already up there as well for him. Probably going to be a little bit of Jayshawn Tate as well. And maybe Jabari Smith a little bit, but I don't know if we exactly need to go out of our way to play anyone from Houston because they're properly priced.
Yeah, I think Tate's 38% on FanDuel. That's insane. He had one good game recently where he just barely hit value, but 4,500 on DraftKings. Like, I don't like the other values. I don't mind Jayshawn Tate. His minutes are a little bit more secure with Eason out. And then Jabari Smith, I feel like he's a little bit more secure in his minutes as well, even though his price, I mean, he's back under 7K.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to say he's safe, but we know with him, it doesn't take much for him to get going. And once he does get going, he can really have a huge ceiling. Other guards, I don't really see any like cheap enough guard plays that I really want. Like Sam Merle's one that was popping up. I don't know. Do you see any like decent punt plays that are like, let's say below 4.5? I don't really see any like scrubs that I feel good about.
Like Alec Burks, I think is okay, but his
Yeah.
ownership is just it's too high. I guess it makes sense he's high owned because he's one of the cheaper guards that the field is comfortable getting to. But yeah, like that one commenter said, it's probably going to be a heavy guard day, and then it does look like we have more values at the small forward, power forward positions, and we can stay in the mid range at center.
Yeah. With the Pacers, I do just want to touch on this. Are we getting to any Matherin tonight? He's only 2% owned. He was chalk on the last slate. I know a lot of people got kind of lucky with that, with Bruce Brown obviously being out, but then also Nembhard getting injured. They are both questionable tonight, but I think, yeah, Nembhard's still questionable. I thought Bruce Brown got elevated a little bit in his status. Like, I think he's more doubtful now. He's like questionable. Is that potentially why? Is that we just don't have that news yet?
It's possible, yeah. I'm surprised that Matherin's ownership is so low. Typically, this is like he's been chased, I feel like, a few times this
Yeah.
season, coming off a big game. And so I played a lot of Matherin on the last slate, but it was more out of necessity because we didn't have a lot of value. And I think his price, was he 4,700 on the last slate, or he
Yeah,
was
he
cheaper on
was.
the last slate?
Yeah.
And so I'm not as interested tonight, but at 2%, I mean, no Nembhard. He could be in line for more minutes. He's projected for 24. His minutes are some of the most volatile in the league.
Yeah.
I don't know if he gets up to 30, but if he does, then he's probably a pretty good play at 2% ownership.
All right. And then, yeah, someone just commented Brown in, Nembhard out. So, what about TJ McConnell then? Is like, he's not going to get projections for like a lot of minutes, but he's someone that against the Bucks the last 2 games has kind of went off in limited minutes. I don't know. He's someone I could see getting 15 minutes with Nembhard out, maybe once this updates, maybe 17 minutes and be a good point per minute producer. He's someone that I could punt to at his cheap price tag.
Yeah, I mean, no ownership. If Nembhard, like with Nembhard out, it's better if Bruce Brown's out too. But yeah, 4K, we don't, like you just added, like we don't have a lot of guards cheap to really get to, and so I don't mind McConnell.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I was just looking at 36 last game against the Bucks, and then 25, and then 20. So like literally the last 3 games, he's hit value at that price, but also kind of held some GPP upside as well.
Well, that game was close, right? What was the score in the previous Bucks game?
It was like a 7-8 point game. I mean, it was a close game throughout for the most part. I mean, the Pacers were winning the whole game, but it was never like out of hand.
So I'm looking at the rotations, and McConnell checked in with 3 minutes and 16 seconds left in the third quarter, and he played the rest of the game. And so that might not happen again, but just that I guess the potential is there. And if that happens, then yeah, 4K for McConnell getting 15 minutes in a row of crunch time playing time is pretty strong. But Obi Toppin also closed the game, and then Benedict Matherin checked in 3 minutes into the second half and never came off the court again. So that's pretty significant.
Yeah. Toppin, only 20 minutes tonight. That's interesting. Yeah, let's go ahead and move on into forwards unless you have any other comments on any guards.
No.
All right. So let's do that. So we kind of mentioned that there's not too much guard value. Hopefully that changed. Did you? That's so weird. Switching slides. Yeah, so we kind of mentioned that with the guards, there's not that much value, but with forwards, we're hoping that we get a little bit more value tonight, in the sense that it's mostly in the mid tier. Like we got OG at cheap price tag, Jalen Johnson at cheap price tag, Dort, Okoro, I'm not getting there, Williams, Grayson Allen, Bay a little bit. No one's like too chalky except for the first 3 there. Kind of what are your thoughts in terms of roster construction with the forwards? Do you see yourself maybe ending up on a little bit more forwards than typical, or kind of how's that going so far today?
It's just like you just said, there's not really anyone that's super appealing here. I mean, Bojan, his price is fine, but 20% on a 10-game slate seems kind of insane. OG is too cheap. Jalen Johnson is a good play, but 31% it's a lot. There's just there's not very many appealing forwards on this slate. And everyone pulling like 9, 9, 8, 8, 7, 10% ownership. Like, I don't know. It's a tough one.
There's no good leverage spots. And to me, that just really makes me want to pay up for Giannis, honestly. Like, it's just like 4% is just crazy. And maybe people are worried about maybe a slight regression I don't really know, honestly. I know he got the price bump, but man, 4 straight games of, you know, almost 60 in each game, averaging over 60 against them. That's kind of crazy to me.
And so we talked about we probably want to pay up at guard tonight since there's like the top of the model is just all guards. I think we can still comfortably fit Giannis with one of those pay up point guards
Yeah.
and a mid range center like Brook Lopez or Jakob Pertl, and then we don't have to go too deep on the rest of our lineup.
Yeah. No, I actually do like that roster approach. Man, looking at it, like Jabari Smith, I wish he was cheaper tonight. I felt like that could have been a good spot. RJ Barrett, he's kind of cheap, but very much shot dependent. Dante DiVincenzo, another guy that's shot dependent, only 25 minutes for him. Tough to get there. Like, I get why the guards are pulling in as much ownership. At the same time, it's not like the forwards are at a complete loss. It's just trying to figure out which ones to play, and it does seem to be a guessing game. Is there anyone to you that's popping up? Like Kevin Knox, what's his minutes projection? I could get there potentially tonight, 23 at 4.2. I could get there value-wise. I'd be fine with that, but that might be it, honestly.
Yeah, I guess this is kind of why Santi Aldama's pulling all the ownership, but where is he in the value? He's very far down. I have to scroll down 4 times to see Santi Aldama under DK value.
Geez.
So even though he's a chalk value, I still think that we can just, mix up the other guys and get away from him. And then Jayshawn Tate, is he showing up? Like he's pretty far down the list too, but he makes a little more sense to me since we know he's starting and Tari Eason's out.
Yeah.
We have a question in chat about Cam Whitnore getting some run, and he only played garbage time last game. Tari Eason was in that game, but I'm not sure. 3,500. We really don't have options, so he's not a terrible play. If he's not going to pull ownership, I don't mind getting to him a little bit. I don't think I'd go there if I'm only making a couple lineups though.
Yeah. I mean, he's been kind of a point per minute producer, but does feel too thin. And then we have a question about Grimes or Sam Merrill. Ooh, buddy, what's going on there, Jose? I don't know about that one.
Tough day for value.
I know, I guess. So Grimes, we do have him projected for 18 minutes. It's okay at his price tag. I would rather go there than Merle just because Merle's chalky and Merle is very much shot dependent. I don't know. What about you? It's kind of ugly.
I will say that Merrill probably has a better chance of getting there. And Quentin Grimes is still pulling 11% ownership on DraftKings, which is absurd. He played, 18 minutes in the previous game, 14 the game before that. I think OG's played 2 games with New York, or he's played 1?
1. Yep.
Okay, so so the minutes projection is probably accurate. And we always talk about these min-price guys. If he puts up that 16 fantasy points he put up last game, it could be enough to help if it helps us fit in the studs and other mid-range guys. But I mean, is there anyone else?
There probably will be. That's the thing. It's just we just don't have them yet, which is just weird. Not too much news today.
No, I mean Portland's not on the main slate, right?
No.
Okay.
Wait, no, I think are they? No, they are. They are.
They are. It's like there's not that there's value in Portland opening up, but I don't know. That's like really the only thing. Nothing's going to change.
There could be for Portland. I mean, center wise, what are they doing? They got all their 3 centers out or questionable. So you got, I don't want to butcher his last name, but he's been someone that could do something 3.8. Like, we'll get there. We can jump to centers right now, actually. Like, he's someone I could get to if they're all 3 outs, all the other bigs for Portland. But that was my initial value today, honestly, was him.
Yeah, getting no value on Portland feels bad. They're all priced up.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I will say Simons is at a fine price tag. Grant or Brogdon could be good, but it does feel a little bit risky. Would you want to get to any of these, Reith or Brown, if they do play?
No.
Okay, yeah, I would agree. One of them would have to sit, right?
Yeah, I think we have enough guys that are only like 1,300 more than Duop Reith. And then even Moses Brown, when Duop Reith was out, he wasn't getting the playing time. He wasn't getting the ball passed to him. So all his fantasy points were coming from rebounds and maybe a steal or something. And so I think I'd still rather play those other chalky values over these guys.
I gotcha. So like Biombo, or is that what you, or like just in general on the slate? Because Biombo is kind of a chalky value at 3.8, and then Aldama, power forward center eligible. You got Tristan Thompson as well. Did you mean that, or just in general for the slate?
Just in general, but Biombo, like the model doesn't dislike Biombo. His value score is pretty fine, and so it's just a matter of taking up the center utility spot is the only drawback to that. But it should be okay. I mean, Toronto. Here's the thing: if Jakob Pertl ends up playing 30 plus minutes, does that necessitate Biombo being on the court more? No, they can just put Jaren Jackson in at center. But Biombo probably is a little bit too cheap.
Yeah, and then Tristan is definitely interesting. Like, even if he only plays 13 minutes that he's projected to get against Washington, he could have a really good game, but it also is Washington, so maybe he gets to closer to 18 to 20 minutes, and then he could really break the slates. I don't know, like going back to that question about Grimes or Murrow, like I feel like Thompson would be my answer there if that was for the utility spot.
Yeah, I feel like I'd rather play Tristan than I don't know, Sam Merrill, because he can just hit a bunch of threes, but I don't want to chase it with the field. But it's kind of same thing with Biombo. Tristan Thompson takes up the center spot.
That's honestly, it's funny about Merle is that if he wasn't chalky, I'd be like, oh, that's the spot where we need to jump on a little bit there. But since he's chalky, it's like, don't love that.
No, I think I agree though.
Let's see here. So we got a question about Me Too for the Suns there. He's 11 and 55% owned on FanDuel, which is pretty crazy. Projected to get 25 minutes in that game. I don't get why it's $500 price. I guess that's the only price decrease on FanDuel compared to DraftKings that we really have tonight. Maybe that's the only difference there.
Actually, I mean, 50% is insane, but yeah, it's probably not that bad. KD's out. He played 26 minutes in the previous game without KD. What do we have him projected for? 25. I mean, if he gets those 25 minutes, like we have to eat some chalk, I guess. And this is one I would feel fine about at the power forward position on FanDuel.
Yeah. And just looking through it, I'm surprised at the pricing difference for Precious there for New York. They're 3.6 on DraftKings, 5K, 5% owned only on DraftKings. I mean, he's only pulling 15 projected minutes, but we have no idea if he's going to actually get minutes for them. And heck, the coach probably doesn't know if he's actually going to get minutes for them throughout the season.
He played 9 minutes. I think, January 1st, 9 minutes for New York. That's not very reassuring to me.
Yeah. And then I do want to pull up Sharp as well for Brooklyn because I do think he's interesting. Claxton did not have a good game last game, and they are on the back end of a back-to-back. I don't really want to target. I don't know. That's kind of a moot point. It doesn't really matter too much. But he's someone that has been a point-per-minute producer, decent matchup against Houston. If he gets around 20 minutes, he's someone that could be a good value. Is he someone you're looking at all?
I wasn't, but if he's coming in low owned, I could be talked into it. 3% and 1%. And so my first thoughts were I'd rather just pay $1,200 more for Pirtle or Brook Lopez. But if that $1,200 is really important to the rest of the lineup, Day'Ron Sharp does have like a weirdly high ceiling. And there's situations where he could do it. So,
and it's not like it's going to happen, but Sengun has occasionally gotten other centers into foul trouble. And again, I'm not thinking that's going to happen tonight, but maybe Clarkson does get into early foul trouble and you get lucky there. Again, it's not like going against Jokic or Embiid or something like that, but I have noticed that happen a decent amount with Sengun this season where I'm like, I didn't think he was that type of guy.
Yeah, and I'm trying to look at their lineup, right? Who's their backup center? Do they just run Jabari Smith? Because I was interested in Sengun. His price is just a little annoying on today's slate. We don't have value, but Sengun, I mean, 4%, 8% ownership. I don't mind taking GPP shots on him basically every day in any matchup.
Yeah, and then I'm actually curious about your thoughts on another kind of GPP only play, like to Sengun, who's a little bit cheaper than Sengun, Andre Drummond.
Oh man, I played Andre Drummond in my single entry over Joel Embiid yesterday, and that went terribly. But I'm gonna go back to it. If no one's gonna play him, he has a gigantic upside, and it's probably gonna fail more often than not. But if no one else is playing him, it really only has to work out once for it to be a good play. I mean, it's Hartenstein in New York. It's not Mitchell Robinson down low, and Hartenstein's fine. But
No.
I mean, it was a tough matchup against Embiid yesterday, obviously. But Andre Drummond, it's just a price thing today, and so I am going to force in a little bit of Andre Drummond. But this is a type of GPP play I just love to play. He's capable of putting up 60 fantasy points at 1% owned. His price to me is probably appropriate on DraftKings anyway. So
Yeah.
I'm going to take shots on Andre Drummond today.
Yeah, and just to sum up what you said, I completely agree with it. It's like he's still only 8.4. Like if he was 9K and 1% owned like he is on FanDuel, I'd be like, all right, that's probably right. But we saw the ceiling with him. It's a massive ceiling, 56, 67, where even if he only gets 30 minutes, again, like you mentioned, not going against Embiid tonight. That game was a blowout in the last game. Like he could really go for 60 again. And I don't think it would shock anyone.
Yeah, and I mean his value score isn't bad. His OF index score is fine. Like it's in line with similarly priced guys. And so I think it's a GPP shot. If you're playing a single entry, probably don't do that like I did, but mix them
Yeah.
in.
The issue is like, yeah, I'm probably trying to get to Jakob Pearl a little bit more, or Brook, and probably Giannis. And then Jared Allen, we didn't really mention him too much. It is definitely something we should talk about. And Rudy Gobert as well, given his pricing. So let's highlight those two real quick. So Jared Allen going against Washington is pulling in as massive chalk. The prop betting community, he pissed off a lot of people in the last game by missing his over 31.5 points, rebounds, and assists by one with a late free throw that he missed, 6 for 8. That was pretty funny. But he's been going off. I mean, 39 fantasy points. Like you would certainly still take that in this game against Washington. This is a DraftKings only play. The thing is, if he's going against Washington, so he'd probably get more than that. Is he? I don't want to say must play because we have some good center plays, but given the ownership, do you agree with that ownership? And will you be overweight, I guess, on the field given that ownership?
It's like 26% is chalk on a 10-game slate, and I think it's a little bit too high. But starting by OF index, he's the second highest center after Giannis, if Giannis counts as a center. His value score is, he's the third highest value score. I might have a blind spot for Jared Allen, though, because I'm not as interested in playing him today. I'd honestly rather just take the 1% Drummond, pay a little bit more, or go down to a Pirtle or Brook Lopez, I think.
Yeah. I would probably say, to start the day, he was my first center in, but that was before seeing how much ownership he had.
Yeah. Same. So, yeah. He's in my single entry right now, but it's probably going to change.
I do think a decent pivot could be Rudy Gobert, though. 7.2, it's like a $900 price difference for him. He's actually been pretty good this season. And it's just like, I think people are so still tilted by how bad he was last year that they don't want to play him. And like in two bad games, if you will, 31, 34, like didn't hurt you. But we saw for a while there, he was getting about 40 or so points. It's not a great matchup at the same time. 7.2 coming in as one of the better center plays. 4%. I could get there a little bit.
I'm glad you mentioned Rudy Gobert. Yeah, when he's close to 7K, always want to be over the field on him. Like I guess I have like a 6-7 center pool tonight. And Rudy Gobert, 4%, 2%. This could be a difference maker. I like him a lot.
Yeah, I might end up with 2 centers tonight. I think there's some decent leverage here. And obviously centers have the upside. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, so we'll give a quick first look build here, guys. We are kind of running short of time. So we'll have the Discord here. Obviously, after this video is done, or they might start before us. But again, just be on the lookout for the Discord chat. Link to that's going to be in the description below. I'll just kind of highlight the slide here. Jump in the Discord chat, guys. We're going to be live up until lock most nights. Me answering you guys' questions in there. We'll give you guys kind of our direct plays, our safe plays, our cash plays for each slate. It's always going to be one of us in there pretty much 30 minutes before lineup lock. So be in there. But yeah, we're going to get into our closing thoughts for the slate, giving you guys kind of a first look build, and then jump on into the Discord chat.
And are we going back to Luke Kennard again? I don't mind it. No one's going to play him. I feel like on today's slate, he should be a little bit more owned, but 2% and 3% owned. His salary helps us do some stuff, and we can play him at shooting guard, which is nice too.
Wasn't Derrick Rose ruled out, I thought?
Let me see.
Yeah, he's out as well. He played the last night, only 9 minutes, but got 4 shot attempts in 9 minutes, and who's to say that can't go to Luke Kennard?
And Vince Williams is out. So Vince Williams being out, that's probably what's affecting Santi Aldama's ownership. But Luke Kennard has a similar floor, and he's coming in at 1/10 ownership, and so I don't mind taking shots there. Yeah, I kind of like that a lot, actually.
Yeah. And then we already kind of mentioned Jay Sean Tate there. He's a good value, but not great. Best center value on FanDuel. We kind of mentioned that. I honestly, it's me too, right? Yeah, it was me too.
Yeah, I probably still want to play him at power forward, but I mean, there's still a lot of. I mean, Jared Allen on FanDuel, 8,700 blocks are worth extra. Chet Holmgren's good price. I mean, just looking at the top of the model, FanDuel value: Brook Lopez, Giannis, Miles Turner, Chet Holmgren, Jared Allen. These guys all seem fine.
Yeah. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump on into kind of a first look build here for you guys. So personally, I see Giannis as a starting point, or do you see Haliburton? Like we can choose between those two, or we could try to fit both. I don't want to like dictate what we do here, but I think Giannis is a good starting point. But again, I don't want to really dictate that unless you like. If you think we should eat chalk, we can eat chalk.
I'm gonna say Giannis, just because we have pivots to Haliburton, we don't have a pivot to Giannis.
Okay. So with that, do you want to play Haliburton, or do you want to go cheaper at the guard spot?
I want to see. Let's put in a couple of the mid-range guys first and see how restricted we are with salary. I mean, Jalen Johnson, top of the value model. I think we should just go ahead and throw him in there. It's pretty safe. It seems like safe chalk, I guess.
Yeah, and then OG as well, or no?
Yeah. I think that we should do that too. I mean, it's just I feel like putting in the guys from the top of the value model is pretty. It protects us a little bit.
Especially in a weird way, like if they're chalk, I like it as well, just because again, you are kind of protecting yourself a little bit there.
And we're already different with Giannis, probably. And then it sounds like we both really like Yaka Pirtle, so we could throw him in at center. Maybe even with Brook Lopez, hit the double mid-range guys, or we could go to one of the other guys you were talking about.
I'm okay with getting to Brook. We do have literally pivots everywhere. Like I don't want to go Tristan Thompson, but like we could do something dumb like that, or like literally there's a bunch of routes that we could go off of Brook.
Mm-hmm. I'm cool either way.
So it does feel like we probably have to go Merle as the punt here. Honestly, like value wise, he's still pretty chalky. Or we could go Giddey at 5.9, but then we're going to be strapped for salary a little bit.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what we could do. I mean, Biyombo 3,800. Do we want to pivot off Brook Lopez for that, or I mean, Brook Lopez just the model darling this season.
I mean, I think so. I don't know.
It's a tough call.
Mm-hmm. It's just the minutes he plays really what's like shocking to me.
Yeah. I'm trying to see what other cheap guys we can fit in.
Yeah. Because what's crazy is that he's not like too high on the value reports. Like Brook Lopez is 2 spots higher. So yeah, I think we stick with Brook, honestly.
Like like I said it already in this video, I understand why Santi Aldama is coming in with so much ownership. It's just he makes things work. So should we throw in Santi or Luke Kennard?
I would rather go Luke Kennard.
Let's do it.
I'm fine with Luke. But I don't know. I feel like Murrow's the exact same play, honestly. Now, like very much shot dependent at a cheaper price. Not as safe. Don't get me wrong. Like Luke, I think we can get him to 25 fantasy points and feel pretty good about it. Where Sam Murrow, we're probably hoping for 18.
Yeah, I mean, we could put in Sam Murrow, especially we're not playing Donovan in this lineup.
Yeah. Let's do that. And then 5.3 on average.
Yeah, there's enough guys in that 5K range. Did we already have did we throw Giddey in there already? Oh, I didn't have.
Yeah, we could go Giddey. Yeah, we could go Giddey. And then 4.8 for guard.
4.8 for guard. Just sorting by value, there is no one on the first page. Jaden Hardy's the first one up, but I don't think we're playing Jaden Hardy with Kyrie and Luka in.
Yeah, we got Tate and Kennard we could do.
I'm okay with either one, yeah.
Or Burks for that matter. Yeah, it's pretty open. I mean, honestly, probably not the best first look build per se, but not terrible either. I feel like it's a good summary of tonight's slate, though. It really is. Like it's a weird one.
I feel like it's a safe stream first build that we went with a bunch of the chalk. Giannis is the under 10% guy, and Pirtle is also kind of low owned. And Brook Lopez is low owned too.
Yeah, relatively speaking, but that's
TJ McConnell. from Smitty in the chat.
That's honestly could toss him in there for a value as well.
That might leaves us 4,200 if you want to pivot off Sam Merrill too. Was Luke Kennard 4,200?
Yeah. Luke Kennard is 44. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we have some options.
Could have made it work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is pretty much going to be it. I'll actually. What was the one spot that I wanted to check minutes wise? I forget who it was now.
Someone get ruled out.
Yeah, there's someone that got. Was it the Pacers?
Was it TJ McConnell?
It might have been. Yeah, it was. So he's projected to get 16 minutes now. I would say I'm okay getting there. If he's going to get 16 minutes, like 4K is a little bit too high price, but you can see the pricing on FanDuel 5.6. Like, I think he's a decent punt play.
Well, I'd bet that TJ McConnell's been better than a fantasy point per minute this season, and I think he has the potential to get up to 20 minutes. So if no one's going to get there, I mean, maybe he will be a little bit chalkier though than we're expecting.
Yeah, I mean, against the Bucks, the last 3 games he's averaging like 6x. So at that price tag,
yeah, we'll take it. I mean, it's a tough slate. So if you can find a reason to play a cheap guy, then I think just go for it, right?
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Again, be in here again, same time tomorrow. When you jump in tomorrow, hit the like button right away. We do appreciate that. If you guys have any comments as well when you jump into the live stream tomorrow, put those in. We'd be happy to answer those right off the top.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Thanks. We'll be in the Discord.
All right, see you guys.